Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new episode of Explore and Engage with Anam. Let's talk about U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders in this episode. Bernie Sanders, he's a socialist, and so I disagree with him on almost everything. But I also understand that he's somebody who is very, very determined. His views, his political views, are flawed. If what he believes becomes reality, then our economy is going to be completely destroyed. Because socialism never works, and Bernie Sanders is a socialist. But as I said, he's very, very determined. There's no doubt about that. He still has a strong fan base, lots of fans and followers that he has. There are many people in this country who embrace his socialist views. It's very unfortunate, very, very unfortunate. But you see, Bernie has lots of fans and they love Bernie. And I think that is what keeps Bernie Sanders energized. I mean, he's pretty old, but you see, he still has a lot of energy and a lot of fans and followers. And he's very determined. And it seems to me that Bernie Sanders may be planning another presidential run. Yes, I know 2028 is far away, but it seems to me that Bernie Sanders may be preparing his fan base for another presidential run. So he's starting to become very, very active right now. And he probably wants to carry this energy into the 2026 midterm and then eventually to 2028. By the way, Bernie Sanders was reelected to the Senate in 2024, and a Senate term is 6 years long. And so the next time he's going to be up for re-election for his Senate seat will be 2030. So if Bernie runs for president in 2028 and he doesn't win, he can still continue on as a U.S. Senator for 2 more years of his current term. 2 more years beyond 2028. And if you see the history of Bernie's fan base, you know that Bernie had a lot of hope for the Democrat nomination for presidency in 2016. But the Democrat Party machine gave the nomination to Hillary Clinton. That was 2016. And then during the 2020 election cycle, Bernie ran again, but then eventually dropped out of the race. So 2016 didn't work for him. 2020 didn't work for him. So I think Bernie Sanders has the desire to be the president, or at least to get the Democrat nomination for presidency, but his wish has remained unfulfilled so far. So I'm guessing that Senator Bernie Sanders is looking at 2028 as an opportunity to try again another presidential run. And this time, it appears to me that he has a strong ally. And that ally is AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Are you paying attention, my friends? Tell me. Are you paying attention that Bernie is doing events with AOC? That is correct. If you have been paying attention, then you know this already, that Bernie Sanders has been doing events. He continues to do events with AOC in different places. He's calling it the Fighting Oligarchy Tour. And he's going to various states with special guest Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. There's a reason why he's doing it. It's not for his re-election. As I said, he just got re-elected in 2024. So it's not a re-election campaign. And if it was a re-election campaign, then he would be spending time in his home state. But he's going to different states and doing these speeches, having these rallies. There's a reason why he's doing this. And I think it is because Bernie Sanders wants to remind everyone that he is still there and that he can be a presidential candidate. And to the new and young voters, he's introducing himself, people who are new voters. Bernie Sanders is introducing himself to these new voters. Bernie has seen how the Democrat Party machine treated him in the past. The Democrat Party machine is not fair to Bernie Sanders. Bernie works hard to win the nomination, and then the Democrat Party machine gives the nomination to someone else, like Hillary Clinton in 2016. The establishment choice, Hillary. And then in 2020, it was Joe Biden, the establishment choice. So this time, Bernie wants to become the early front runner. He wants to build a momentum so that it discourages other candidates from entering the race. There are many Democrats who are probably thinking of running for president in 2028. If you ask me to guess, I'll say Elizabeth Warren, U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren. I think she may run in 2028. Pete Buttigieg, former Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg may run. Cory Booker. It seems that Cory Booker is trying to get a lot of attention. Remember that long speech that he delivered on the Senate floor. He created a new record. That speech was so long. So Cory Booker is trying to get attention. And then J.B. Pritzker, governor of Illinois, J.B., he may run. Josh Shapiro, governor of Pennsylvania, some people think that he's a possible candidate. He may run. Gavin Newsom, don't forget Gavin, the governor of California. He may run for president. And I'm sure that there will be other names that come up as time goes by. So Bernie Sanders probably wants to secure the Democrat presidential nomination, and he is starting early. Now, what role is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez going to play in this? AOC. Is she going to be Bernie's running mate? Is she going to be the vice presidential candidate? That is possible. That can happen. And I think it's by design. Because there will be those in the Democrat Party who might point out that Bernie is old. They might point out Bernie's age. And they may say, oh, Bernie can't run. He's too old. Some might say that. Bernie Sanders was born in 1941. So in the year 2021, he turned 80 years old. And now he's more than 80 years old, and he'll be much older by the time we get to 2028. So I think a lot of people might point out Bernie's age and say that he's too old. And so I think what Bernie Sanders wants to do is have a young vice presidential candidate, a young running mate. And that's why I think Bernie Sanders is teaming up with AOC for the Fighting Oligarchy Tour. They are spreading their socialist ideas. So the Democrats might end up with a 2028 presidential ticket that has Bernie as the presidential candidate and AOC as the vice presidential candidate. That may happen. That's a possibility. Now, there's another possibility, which I want to point out, and that is perhaps AOC wants to run for US Senate in 2028. I talked about this previously on my YouTube channel. Maybe Bernie Sanders is helping AOC, and AOC is helping Bernie Sanders, and they are both working as a team for now. But maybe the eventual goal is for Bernie to run for president and for AOC to run for US Senate in New York. That can happen. That is quite possible. So we will have to wait and see what happens. But I believe that the American voters must reject socialists. Socialism has no place in the American society. Socialism has no place in our country. And both Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez are socialists. They embrace socialism, and that is why the American voters must reject Bernie Sanders and AOC. So whatever office Bernie Sanders runs for, reject him. Whatever office AOC runs for, reject her. And overall, do not vote for Democrats. Look at what the Democrats did during the Biden-Harris administration. The reckless spending resulted in inflation. The Democrats embraced reckless spending. They embraced the COVID mandates. The Democrats support a bloated bureaucracy. The Democrats have extremely poor foreign policy. And we do not go back to those days. So reject the Democrats and vote for solid conservative Republicans. That is my message, my friends. That is my message. Vote for solid conservative Republicans and reject socialists and reject the Democrats. So with a Republican majority in the House, a Republican majority in the Senate, a Republican president in the White House, the future is bright. We can achieve a lot. And we are already seeing President Donald J. Trump, along with his allies in Congress, he's achieving a lot. He has got a great administration, the Trump administration, making America great again. So I wanted to talk to you about Bernie Sanders. Is he planning a presidential run? I think he is. Will AOC be the running mate? Possibly. Or AOC could run for US Senate in New York. We'll see what happens. But whatever office Bernie runs for, whatever office AOC runs for, reject them and reject socialism. Thank you so very much, my friends, for continuing to listen to my podcast. And if you want to connect with me, share with me your thoughts, you can go to my website, tausifanam.net. You can send me a message through my website. You can also connect with me on Facebook, on Instagram, on X, and also on Truth Social. So connect with me on social media. Share with me your thoughts. Send me a message. And I really look forward to hearing from you. With that, thank you once again. I hope to be back again soon with a new episode of Explore and Engage with Anam.